We continue our journey around the vineyards of Occitanie, and we've now arrived in the Rhône Valley and the appellation of Lirac. Lirac is actually situated on the right bank of the Rhône, in the far eastern end of the Gard department, about half an hour from the Pont du Gard, this famous Roman aqueduct, and 15 kilometers from Avignon. At about 770 hectares, it is 1/4 the size of its neighbour, Chateauneuf du Pape. The climate here is hot. Sunshine hours are around about 2,700 per year. It is very dry, particularly in the summer, and also very windy. The mistral blows for half the year at gusts up to 100 or sometimes in excess of 100 kilometers an hour. This can provide some welcome freshness during the very hot summer months, but also helps chase away any moisture that might be present and therefore acts very much as a natural treatment for the vines. The vineyards here are generally quite low lying, about 50 meters up to a maximum of 200 meters on the terrace, and the soils are quite varied. Everything from sandstone, some red soils, but the most prevalent really are the big galets roulés, the big pudding stones that you often see in its more famous neighbour across the river. Grape varieties, Grenache is the main grape variety here, with Syrah and Mourvèdre. Cinsault is also one of the main varieties, but tends to be used more for the rosé. Yields are quite low. The maximum permitted yield is 41 hectolitres per hectare, but in practice, very few people actually reach that level. There's also quite strict rules with regarding growing cover crops, and also that the grapes have to be sorted prior to arriving in the winery. All three styles of wine can be made here, but red is the most dominant at around about 85% of the production. Rosé is only about 5% of the production, but maybe it's because neighbouring Tavel, which is a sole rosé producing area. But one of the most surprising and interesting wines of Lirac are the white wines. About 10 years ago, only 3% of the wines made here were white. Now it's closer to 10%. So based on grape varieties such as Clairette, Roussanne, Bourboulin, these can make some actually really quite fresh wines, some quite delicately fresh wines in what is regarded as a hot climate. In former times, Lirac was seen on a par with its more famous neighbour, and in recent years, it is now regaining some of that luster. Lirac is a hidden gem in the southern Rhône. It may not be that well known, but that means it offers outstanding value for money. Don't just take my word for it. See all those Chateauneuf du producers who are making wine here. Now we come to the tasting, and the wine we're going to try is Le Gourmand from Domaine du Gencier. This is a family-owned domain started by Pierre Roussel in 1964 and taken over by his daughter Marine in 1989. And she has used her artistic background to create one of the most prevalent organic and even biodynamic estates in the Lirac appellation. This is a wine that's based on Grenache. There's 60% Grenache in this wine, 20% Syrah, and 10% each of Cinsault and Mourvèdre. This is a wine made with minimal intervention. It's just literally allowing the grapes that are grown on this galet roulé rich soil to express themselves without the minimal of handling. They will be hand harvested, fermented using natural yeast, and then the wine is aged in concrete tanks underground for up to 18 months. Just literally just allowing the expression of the different grape varieties, the different vine ages to come to the fore. On the nose there's this combination of red and black fruits, but there's also a touch of coffee, toffee, even a bit of caramel. This wine has some bottle age. It's 6 years old at 2014. And it's already showing that the great evolution that Grenache in particular can achieve. The wine is remarkably complex. As well as this combination of red and black fruits, you have this really lovely sort of chalkiness that underpins the wine. The tannins are quite firm. There's some power, but there's also an awful lot of elegance. When you read the label, it says 14.5% alcohol, but it doesn't feel that big. There's a lightness of touch that underpins this wine that gives it a delicious, refreshing capacity and also a lovely, lingering, long finish. It's a really, really fascinating wine, and one that may not be typical for Lirac, but shows what the potential of this region has.